Welcome to The Ripple Effect, a podcast series where we dive into international development research and impact. Together, we'll learn about the experience of research from those at the front line and how their experiences are making a difference. Grab your headphones, settle in, and let's get started. Welcome to today's podcast, where we dive deep into the topic of researching organisational capacity strengthening. I'm your host, Keren, speaking to you from Gadigal land in Sydney, Australia. Thanks for tuning in to this first episode of our podcast series. In today's episode, we will be sharing with you about an action research project which has been carried out by the Australian Volunteers Program, its partners in Fiji, Indonesia, Sri Lanka and Vietnam, and the Institute for Sustainable Futures at the University of Technology, Sydney. The Australian Volunteers Program is an Australian government-funded initiative that supports global volunteering. The focus of our 3-year action research is to explore organisational capacity strengthening, how and why this happens, and the broader development outcomes achieved through this change. We will be discussing today what it means to carry out this research in partnership and also what we've learned so far about organisational capacity strengthening. We have a great lineup of 4 guest speakers to share with you their experience, and I'm going to invite each of them to introduce themselves now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Quyen Mai, Deputy Director at the Center for Knowledge Co-Creation and Development Research, known as CKC, a young woman-led non-profit organization in Hue City, Vietnam. And we specialize in social consultancy and research and community development with the focus with women empowerment, green energy, and cultural preservation. My pleasure to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Quyen Mai. I'm from Sri Lanka, working for the Organization of People for Engagement and Enterprise, focusing on community capacity building, and I'm a monitoring and evaluations coordinator here. Nice to be here and happy to be talking to you all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nimesha Gunasinghe, monitoring evaluation learning coordinator for Australian Volunteer Program, South Asia and Africa region, supporting the countries of Tanzania, South Africa, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. Happy to be here today in this discussion.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hương. I'm the Regional Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning Coordinator of the Australian Volunteers Program. I'm based in Hanoi, Vietnam, supporting the program in East Asia, covering Cambodia, Laos, Mongolia, and Vietnam.
Great to have you all here and really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say today with us. So our research, as you all know, is focused on organisational capacity strengthening. And this is a term that's used a lot in international development. So what does our research understand of this term? We understand organisational capacity strengthening as an ongoing process of maintaining and increasing the capabilities of individuals, teams and organisations in order to achieve a range of positive, sustainable outcomes. And this definition is used internationally as well. An important aspect of this research, as you'll hear more, is we're using that term very loosely, and we really want to understand, more importantly, what organisational capacity strengthening means to partner organisations that we're working with. Another important part of the research is how we're carrying out research. And so our research is locally led, adaptive and emergent. And there's multiple layers of inquiry and learning at the organisational level, at the country level, and then also at the multi-country level. And we're taking a partnership approach to carry out our research with shared responsibility and, importantly, this broad perspective of organisational capacity strengthening so that each of the organisations that are participating, such as those, represented today with Quyen and also Kunsan, they can make sense of this term themselves. So firstly, I'd like to ask a question to Kunsan and also Quyen. What has the project meant for your organisations? And what's been your journey so far being involved in this project to date?
Yeah, very interesting. So CKC is a young organization, so capacity strengthening is critical for us. The last few years has been a building up phase for CKC, and we feel that at this moment we need a plan for next stage of development. So participating in this research has been a timely opportunity for us. And the research had been effectively integrated into our regular capacity assessment. First, it has provided with an up-to-date approach that have been proved to be useful and beneficial for the non-organization just like us. So we use the 5 capacity approach here, and it has enabled us to look at the capacity strengthening in the whole process, considering both internal and external factors. And built on that, the research also helped us to build a very strong scientific framework that will help us to gain the input for a tailored methods and tool that we think is very suitable for our condition and the resources at the moment. So in the first year, we have applied the photo voice tools to collect the data. And this is the first time we conducted this type of tools ever. And we are very, very excited. And the third thing, I also have to mention that project has provided a generous technical and financial support. So to help us to dig into the data, to analyze and to read it. So it enables us to come up with a suitable strategy for the next phase that we are asking, as I mentioned before. And for the journey, personally, I think that the journey as a research is quite similar to some other research that we have done, but the experience along the way is very interesting. There are so many surprises and so many wow moments for me that I learned a lot. So just as I just mentioned, this is the first time we conduct the photo voice tones that gave us the opportunity to sit together with other local partners that we have been working for a long time, but we never sit together before. And now we really sit down and talk and discuss what capacity means to us and how we should improve from what we have achieved. So, and also, we have the chance to sit with other 16 organizations across the whole globe. So this is a really first-time experience for CKC. It's also for me to learn and to exchange the experience. So the bottom line is that the journey for me has been full of changes, and the exchange is very enormous and very beneficial for us.
Thank you, Quyen. Just like Quyen said, this was also a good journey for us here at Open. We kind of already had sort of capacity building and capacity strengthening programs running at our organization, but we are also relatively young. Just an 8 years old organization, started with 3 members, and now we are at about 42 people. So on the way, we had to look into ways where we had to change the methods and strategies to strengthen the organization. So not our vision and mission, that didn't change, but the ways in which we can build our organization for the better, we were looking for different ways, and we had already had these 5 capabilities tool adapted, but was not very regular. With the help of the Australian Volunteers Impact Program, we were able to fine-tune into it. And just like Quyen said, it was a new endeavor for us to engage into the photo voice tool. To be very honest, it seemed very easy in the beginning when we adapted. We said, okay, we are going to do this. And when we started, we understood both the strengths and weaknesses of the organization and also the difficulty in carrying out this research. Because unlike most other researchers, this is a participatory action research where all the people in the organization, or at least the key people in the organization, had to participate than just one analyst doing some research and analyzing. The most important part of this research is that it is called the participatory action research. So when we asked our people to participate in the research, it was very obvious that most of them didn't even know the full idea about the organization, how it started, what it's doing, where it has to go. Everybody had an idea about their role, what they had to do, what they're supposed to do, and they were all good. But when it came to thinking about or analyzing or assessing the organization, it seemed like not everyone was in the know. So it was an amazing journey for us to start from involving everyone into the project, into the research, and then making everyone understand the organization. That itself was a capacity strengthening for the organization. We're only halfway through, I guess, because we are continuously evolving and we are continuously using these tools. And especially the photo voice tool was, it proved to be a useful tool because when we got some photographs and asked people to analyze and see what they see and then express what they understand, and it was always a different perspective from a different person. So it gave us an understanding that not everyone is looking at the organization in the same way. So we had to make sure that from from within, inside the organization, the staff had to have an understanding of what capacities they need to be built up on and what capacities the organization needs strengthening. So it was a good beginning. I would say it's too early to conclude, but it was a good beginning, and we've been through it at least for a year now that I'm into the organization for the past 1 year. I'm hoping for the best.
Great. Thanks so much. Great to hear about your journey so far. I'm interested, Nemisha and Hung, you've been supporting 4 organisations in each of your, in Sri Lanka and Vietnam, and you've been supporting through them in this research. What would you say has been unique about this approach that's been carried out in this research?
In contrast to the traditional research methodologies in participatory action research, it's give actually a participant sense of ownership over the research process and also about the outcomes. Actually, our participants are active collaborators and provide strong commitment to both process and the outcome of the research. And I think this has been a unique feature in this research methodology, empowering participants to take actions based on the research findings. And other thing is collaborative knowledge creation. This process empower our stakeholders, all partners, partner organization, and whoever involved in this research to make co-create, facilitate this process of co-creation of knowledge. They pull together their resources, their knowledge, their expertise, and make decisions about the research and the way forward plans, and also they interpret their data based on their expertise. And it's more ownership and collaborative knowledge creation is one of other unique features which I'm seeing in this approach. And also, I think this process enable us to deep trust building among our partners and also our researchers. This research has been running over 3 years, so it has been a deep understanding among our partners. So it's a deep trust building. So it enables in our data collection process to collect more depth of data, and when analyzing also to deep understanding about the context. Those are some of key unique things I'm seeing in this research. And also, on the other hand, I think it's very time consuming and process as well, because it's more participatory and more engagement with the stakeholders. So on the other hand, it's need more time and resources in our engagement as well. Those are some unique features which I'm seeing compared to the other research methodologies as well.
Yeah, I agree with Nimesha. And from my experience in Vietnam, I just like to add on 2 more things. The first, I say is unique in this research project is the transfer of knowledge. Is a coaching and mentoring process. We, the male coordinator, learned from UTS and IFS, and then we pass on the knowledge to the partner organization. We discuss together and we doing the research together. So it's the process of learning and growing professionally for all of us involved in the projects. And I believe in Sydney, you also seeing, as Kunsen mentioned, that we have different point of view, different perspective on the one chain at the organization. So it's the exchange of knowledge is a different to the other research project. The second point I think is also unique in this project is the opportunity for the participating organization to share experience and to have cross-learning. So the organization not just only work with the program in the country, but they also have the opportunity to work to collaborate with other partner organizations in other countries that the Australian Volunteer Program is operating.
Great. That's wonderful. Really good to hear about the participatory action research, both the positives and also some of those challenges as well, and the realities of ensuring learning and development and growth. It takes time and effort from everyone. I'm interested, we've talked about, we're only partway through the research. So this is a 3-year research project, and we're sort of nearly towards the end of year 1. Concern and Quyen, I'm interested to hear from you. What do you think has been the most interesting findings from the research on organisational capacity strengthening in this first year so far?
Yeah, so it has been very interesting, and we have found out a lot of resources. Just to say that, just to state that CKC has been working with Australian volunteer since our day one, the very first day that we established. And in this first year of research, we have found out a lot of positive results in on aspect of organizational capacity strengthening. And we feel like it's like harvesting time for us after 7 years of establishment, that we are now broadening our coverage, defining our visibility in the local area. So there are some key things about the research finding that I would like to highlight, is that after the first year, everyone had come into one line. So before the research, people talk about capacity strengthening, but then each of us has some different perspective about what the capacity, how we should strengthen it. And especially with our partners, they also hold different perspective and also expectation on CKC capacity strengthening. But then after this 1 year, after we have conducting the workshop with Photo Voice, everybody come together, and now we have agreed what capacity strengthening would mean to CKC, and in what way CKC want to achieve this process with AVI, and so also with the research after 3 years. So I mean that now we have set the common ground for CKC, and which is very important in just a participatory action like this. I think when everybody is clear and going in one direction is very important. And secondly, the first year finding has also confirmed that, CKC has come to a new phase. Maybe we could not say that we are young anymore, but we should look for a new phase and a higher stage of development. And in this way, we think that we should be better prepared. We should need a new set of strategies for capacity strengthening to achieve a new set of targets in these 3 years. So we found out from that. And lastly, it's like connecting the dot for us when looking at the findings, because we see the big picture of how volunteerism in general and how Australian volunteers in particular had played a vital roles in the development of CKC capacities. We see traces, evidences in all of the onset of different capacity, 5 different capacity that here and there, their own way, Australian volunteer play some kind of role or contribute something in each step of our development in the capacity. So I think it's really interesting for us to look back and also to look forward how we should collaborate with AVI, also how we should integrate volunteer and volunteerism in our stage to development the next few years.
So the case was similar to what CKC went through, like Quyen said. We also had to start with the research, thinking we already have this 5C tool in place, and we are just adapting the photo voice tool. Let's dive into it. And then once we started going, we understood, I think there are 3 major findings I could point out. One is that we thought everyone in the organization is fully aware of the organization. Obviously, it turned out not everyone has the same understanding of the organization. That was a key finding for us, because it's not just we have to train people on the project and how to do their job, but it seems like we have to train them fully to understand the organization as well. The second finding I would say is that in the senior management, the perspective or the understanding of different levels or different capabilities of the organization was different. Just for example, if somebody answered or scored the organization to be 8 out of 10 in one aspect, another senior manager would say, no, it's only 5 out of 10. So the difference was very prominent, and it was also very important for us that we were able to understand from everyone's background and everyone's measure of the development or the capacity. They gave us different scores. So the finding is that not every one of us is looking at the same thing in the same way. But that was very important because it shows us a pluralistic perspective from within the organization. I think the third one is, although we have been analyzing our gaps and filling in the gaps for the past years, we found out that there are a few things that can be easily achieved than the other things in terms of capacity strengthening. So by doing these researches, if we clearly identified the gaps or the areas of improvement, and if we prioritize the areas of improvement that could be done in within a short time period or with less cost or with less resources, then we could prioritize them and can easily reach them out. So I would say those are the three main findings that we got through this research.
Great. Thanks so much both for sharing. It's so interesting to hear the value of surfacing those diverse perspectives and that recognition that not everyone sees the organisation in the same way, and different people have different perspectives on what is organisational capacity strengthening, and the value of establishing that common ground to move forward as well. That's really exciting to hear. So as we've mentioned before, this research has intentionally taken a strong partnership approach. So it's enabled each of these 16 organisations who are part of this research across the 4-country context to essentially choose their own adventure, to design the research activities relevant to their own contexts, their own organisational context, their own country context, and to prioritise what they want to learn from the research to benefit their own development going forward. So our institute, the Institute for Sustainable Futures, prioritises and values this strong research approach. And we think that research and research outcomes are more relevant when research is carried out through a partnership approach, and that research findings are best used by those at the core and at the heart of the research. I'm interested in asking all of you now, from your perspective, what do you think has been the benefit of partnering and doing the research in the way that we have? We've talked about participatory action research. We've talked about involving everyone in the research, at that organisational level. Hung has spoken about the value of mentoring and train the trainer and sharing of knowledge and diffusion of knowledge. Yeah, I'm interested in your views on what you think has been the value of the way that we've carried out this research through this partnering approach.
Yeah, Keren, that's a good question. I think we have seen benefits in different fronts. Say, as an organization that is developing for the past 8 years in a country like Sri Lanka, where it was all rehabilitation, now we are trying to move into development. It's really, really difficult. At a time like this, having a research like this, and the organization also had decided to do monitoring, evaluations, accountability, and learning framework, a meal framework for the organization. And I'm supposed to do that. I'm responsible for doing that. And so these processes come hand in hand. We are doing this research on one hand, and we are also doing some capacity building from some other funding partners. And we are also developing a meal framework for our organization. So this is extremely beneficial because we are doing the same or similar analysis in 2-3 different ways. And whatever our finding is here, it can be immediately applied to the development of our main framework. That's a very important benefit of what's going on. And then the support and collaboration that we get, like from Nimesha. Nimesha is just a phone call away, and we can always reach out to her and ask anything. Although we haven't, I guess we haven't bothered her too much, but she's always there, available to answer and to advise or to collaborate to do whatever. And it's a good thing that outside Sri Lanka, we haven't had a real interaction or exchange with any other organizations other than the funding partners. This is the first time I think we were able to share something with another organization like CKC, and a person like Quyen getting into contact with someone, sharing your knowledge a little bit further, getting exposed to other similar organizations is another benefit. It's not just outside Sri Lanka, but also within Sri Lanka where the partner organizations are. When we get into a discussion, a meeting, we get different perspectives from different organizations. So that's another level of benefit, because it also brings up network. We are also having another meeting on this 22nd of October, again with another partner organization, discussing about the research and the progress. So that has been one other benefit. And finally, I would say the most important benefit of them all is that, like the research says, it's a participatory action research. We were able to make sure almost everyone in the organization to take part. That's been a real capacity strengthening for the individuals at the organization. So I would say that was the most important benefit we got through this research.
Yes, I totally agree with Consent here. And we also share the same experience like what Consent just mentioned. And just for the case of CKC, I just want to emphasize that in our name, we have valued the co-creation. So the approach of this research is like totally highly aligned with what we are doing and what we are looking for to achieve in the future. So I think the co-creation and co-learning process not only have at the organizational level, but until the individual level. So everybody is included, everybody can take a part, everybody can raise a voice and contribute to the process. And this process is just an up-to-date and rigorous process that you always have an input, and it make an ongoing decision-making processes. So the result this year will be the input for the next year, and it goes on until as far as we are conducting this approach. So I think it's really beneficial for us, not only in one time or in one moment, but it's an ongoing process of receiving this benefit, exchanging, adjusting from everybody, and then achieving for more. And I believe on small organization at on local area, having this such kind of needs to connect to build this participatory action, but it's quite limited to us to reach out to it's impossible for CKC to make open, and it's impossible for Quyen to make Quincy. But in this research, it make everything possible. And now we are here. And then from this point, we also come to the second benefit that we can exchange the innovative solution and scale it up. Just like CKC here, in the first year, we have learned from Quincy, we had learned from Open a very innovative, quantitative approach to assess the organizational capacity that we could not done it before. But now we have learned from Open, we have shared a lot of experience with Quincy here, and we think that next year we will apply this approach to CKC. And we also believe that the story that CKC bring to the research also have been shared, also been applied or been scaled up in some other PO in the research as well. So to come to the last point, I think the benefits is enormous. And I feel like 16 organization is together building a very strong foundation. And this strong foundation help us to develop like higher and stronger to earn more opportunities. So from this research, CKC have already reached out a lot of opportunities that we are working at the moment also. And I'm very excited if I can share the result of this opportunity soon in the near future. Yeah, so it's very interesting opportunity for us.
I agree and just want to supplement 2 points to what Quyen and Quinson have mentioned. From the program perspective, I see the biggest benefit for us is an opportunity to get further evidence of how volunteer contributed to the capacity strengthening at partner organization. And another benefit is the connection and partnership among partner organizations is developed and strengthened within diverse partners. We have local NGO, INGO, research organization, and also government academic institution participating in this research. So the knowledge is diverse, and we get the connection with those organizations and collaboration and partnership.
Yeah, I think this research process have immense benefit to all of us as being part of this research process, as my colleagues explained. So I would like to reiterate the importance of the knowledge sharing and recycling process of knowledge recycle. Because in this participatory action research, we collect the data and we reflect on the data. Based on that, we change our strategies. So it's a real benefit to all of us. And also adding to that, the deep understanding of the local context. I think this provide deeply understand on the context of our partners, context of our partner organization operating context, and the type of our partnership. So it's give a sense of deep understanding to all of us, especially for our program, Australian Volunteer Program, to understand about our partnerships and the partners' context. This research pave a platform where we have deep understanding and deep relationship built with our partners. That's one thing. And other thing is also this provide context specific solutions, like the partner capacity building, where it is one of our program outcome, where how the volunteer support for the partner capacity building. So we believe that this research enable to provide real world, to solve this real world problem with specific context solutions which are adaptable and sustainable. So this is one of a great benefit as a program, as Australian Volunteer Program, where we are looking to see the impact results of our program through this research will definitely help us to see that benefit.
Great. Thanks so much. Thanks to all of you for sharing today. It's been, really rich insights in terms of the ways of working, both at this global multi-country research process, but also in your organizations as well, to hear how the research is really touching each staff member in your organization and how it's aligning to the work that you're doing and the ways that you work as well. So huge thanks to all 4 of you for sharing today. It's been a really rich conversation. And so that wraps up our episode for today. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation and you've got some insights from it. If you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the Institute for Sustainable Futures at UTS through our LinkedIn page, or also through our website, or contact me directly as well. So we hope you keep in touch and hope you continue to be engaged in the work that we're doing. And please look out for the next episode in this podcast series as well, where we'll be sharing more from those that we're working with and to understand what impact we can make in terms of international development outcomes, and as Nemisha says, that are context specific, that are relevant and that are really meaningful to those that we work with. So thanks again for listening.